So do you like that, Andy? Do you
I like
it?
that one. Yeah, I mean, the first bit, I thought we were going to come on and do the news at 10, and then
yeah, it does
no,
have that. Yeah, that it's a similar
nice,
kind of
that little bit. I like that. That's good.
Similar kind of ting, isn't it? So welcome, Earthlings, to a bit of a special, I suppose. As always, get your comments in. Don't forget to smash a like, as they say in YouTube land. And of course, you know, we won't be charging anybody to, I think. Now, this is going to be quite interactive, hopefully. We'll explain that in a minute, I guess. And also, I'll probably put the link in the chat for people who actually want to come on screen to help, because this is kind of like interactive work we're going to be doing, Andy. So, but first of all, give us the latest on your enhancement adventures.
Well, yeah, I haven't actually done a bug standard video for a little while, so I narrated all of the Leslie Cross essays, and then just a few other various things, actually, just to try and get people to listen to them. For just while we're waiting for a few people to come in, if anyone started listening to or noticed that I took the second Bridget Brothy essay down, it's simply because there was a few mistakes in it, more and more every time I listened to it, in fact. And it just shows me that in future I shouldn't record when I'm tired. So I'm just for the sake of making sure that it's correct, I'll re-record it on Sunday and re-put it up, because I think it's a really important essay. So I want to make sure that everything is as it is in there.
I guess you were tired, Andy, because you were kind of reading at normal speed, normal human speed.
No, I noticed as well, like I hadn't properly listened it through, and then when you said, I listened to it earlier, and I was like, there's words that I'm just reading without the words that I know, right? Like conspicuous, that I read as conspicuous or something like that. I can't even remember what I say, but it's because I'm not thinking, I'm just reading it. It got to that point where I just shouldn't have started it, to be honest. You should have just waited till the next day.
Yes. Well, never mind. So let's have a few hellos again while people are coming in. So hi, Kev. Kev was first. Paul was second.
Welcome, everyone, by the way.
Yeah. Pundit was third. Graham gets the bronze. No, third is bronze, isn't it? You're out. You're out of the medals, I'm afraid, Graham.
Tough luck. See you next year.
Yeah, Josh. There's Colleen. Hello. Joanna is in the house. Jennifer is here. I think that's everybody so far who have made themselves known. Other people are lurking in the background, but we shall see. Okay, now, so we've talked about enhancing, so we're into this notion of updating, and we've got a kind of like a reason for it. You mentioned the fact that you've been narrating some of the classic texts, right? Mm-hmm. And then we realized that some of them sound very dated for the reasons that we all know. In particular, mostly it's because they always talk about man. That's the main thing that goes on, isn't it? And also you've got quite a lot of its and that thrown in.
Yeah.
So we came up with this idea of updating them without changing them, which might be quite a skill that I don't know if we're going to have them or not, but we'll try. So we're actually going to do it live on the screen. So we've got a Google document screen, which we can both get access to. So the idea is to do it live on the screen, right here, there in front of you, as it were. So that basically means that we want your kind of ideas if we get stuck. Some of them are obvious, and then others are not. I mean, like we were having a quick look a couple of hours ago, and there was one sentence which we thought we could cut completely in half, which would actually improve it, right? And so there's those kind of thing. So there's that. Let me just put that. That's the. If you actually want to join us on screen, you can, and that will bring you into our green room, where there's champagne and vegan biscuits waiting.
And absolutely ridiculous amounts of avocados and almonds just for the sake of it, just because we can. I mean, we've all got shares, obviously, so we might as well make the most of them.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean that's it. So we're not looking to change anything about the ethos, so to speak. We're just updating some of the wording. I mean, I noticed, especially when I was narrating it, that I didn't feel comfortable talking about it as a calf. I didn't feel I could feel it in my own words. No, that's not something I'd feel comfortable.
There was one passage that you read out, and it was so difficult because it was just like it.
I sent it to you privately, and I literally said, I can't say this. I can't do it. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So Joanna, so the idea really is that we want obviously new people and new and recent vegans to read these classic works because they are so important. At the same time, we don't want them to kind of be almost tripped up by the language. And so the idea is to kind of correct that so they can just read it and then it'll be almost like fresh. But we've got to make sure we do it without changing it. So that's the kind of trick to it. So shall we bring up the text then? Yeah. So we're going for probably one of the most important pieces of classic text, which is this one from 1954 by Leslie J. Cross. And so Cross probably did more work than anyone else on the evolution of the philosophy of veganism, culminating, I think, with this essay in a way, because this is 1954. He did a lot of his early work in 51, but this 54 one is an interesting one. His last kind of philosophical kind of go at veganism, I suppose you might say. And then, Andy, you made a great point about there's a 1955 text, which was actually a transcript from a talk that Cross gave to a vegetarian group. And because of that, I'd almost like neglected it. But you were saying, well, actually, that's really good, weren't you? You know,
I think we was discussing it a little bit last night. I think the best way to describe it is it doesn't go into the great detail that some of the other essays does about single points or whatever, but it really gives a great summary of everything that he's talked about before then. It's almost like he's taken all the other essays and just taken what he really wanted, the important information, and just kind of put it into bullet points. But I suppose he's also thinking of his audience whilst he was doing that. I mean, he's speaking to vegetarians. It's not an essay. It's, a transcript of his speech.
It's like a summary, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But the weird thing is this one is almost like a philosophical summary as well, I think, because there's lots of things in this one which are also in the earlier stuff, not least the stuff about the things that are obvious and things that are not. And those are the kind of themes that he kind of like does quite often. So we might as well get to it, I guess. Now, you're going to read them out, and I'm going to make the changes. Now, I think we're probably much agreed on the first change, which is the last word in this first one. So, do you want to read that out, sir?
Yeah. So, as it stands, this is an attempt to state in simple terms what veganism is and why and how it came into existence, and to suggest what it could mean for mankind. So, the obvious suggestion there is mankind.
Yeah.
And we might think potentially humanity.
Yeah, humanity. Yeah. Okay. So,
unless anyone has a better suggestion.
Alien beings. You see, I suppose really that's going to be one of the most frequent changes we're going to be making in this little kind of routine, isn't it? Because they kind of do it. It's done quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Next paragraph.
The word veganism is a symbol that stands for a major change, a new mutation comparable to the freeing of the serfs and the freeing of the slaves. I really read that as fleeing them.
Are you doing?
Mine's different to yours. Mine's got a paragraph break there after slaves, but I'll read the whole thing if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. So we want to start. I can read the rest in your. Should I just stick to your one?
Well, it doesn't
read
matter
the
really.
whole
I mean,
thing?
I'm
Or,
not
I
bothered, but I
mean,
didn't know that.
there isn't potentially anything to change in that first sentence, is there really?
No. Yeah, it's
I just
interesting, isn't
continue.
it?
Its
I
official
mean, like,
definition: the doctrine that man should live without exploiting animals is accurate, precise, and comprehensive, but not always fully understood. This is not
yeah,
as surprising as might seem, for rarely have 9 short words enshrined a reform so massive the achievement of which would bring a new world of new men to inhabit it.
right. You let to touch the text up a little bit so everybody can see it.
Yeah, 2-6.
What do you think the word mutation means in this sense? Because I think it means a new type of human.
Yeah, it's talking about evolution, right? It's not
Yeah,
necessarily a physical mutation, X-Men style. It's talking about being civilized. It's talking about being respectful. It's about living in harmony. We've never done that before.
right. Colleen here is asking a technical question. Now, I think Google Documents does that automatically, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
There'll be a record of all that. If one of us logs in, there'll be all different marks where it says Roger edited, Roger edited, Roger edited.
Be a record. I want a CD.
Be MP3 these days, probably, and you'll have to pay 79p for the privilege of listening to it.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Music.
Yeah. Or hi. Oh, you mean actually on the text, so we can review it afterwards? I suppose that might be an idea.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
See, this is where collaboration gets you, Andy. So,
yeah, well, I mean, if anyone knows of a way of doing what Colleen suggests, I'm not brilliant with Google Docs, but if there is a way of doing
you
that,
just go to tools, don't you, and highlighter, don't you? Is it tools?
I suppose you could just select it. I'm not sure. You'll have to talk me through it 1 second. So, hang on.
Just as text. Here we go. Bold, highlight. You got super strike and all that kind of stuff. Size, paragraph, headers, footers, page, clear format, insert, image, view, edit. Okay, we're obviously unprepared for this this idea, weren't we?
I can. Yeah, I'm not really sure, because if I bring it out of the full screen, it will change the screen for everyone. So I can't see any of my options from this level.
Well, there's one way of doing it, which is just underline it, isn't it?
Yeah, so, yeah, or just put them in the bold, I suppose. Just press Control and B on the bits we change.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. So that next paragraph there then that's going to be the same as it is now, right?
Yeah, this bit.
Oh no, so the man bit, right? Okay, so how do we
so this is the bit we're looking at, yeah.
Yeah, so the doctrine that humanity should live without, is it just be humanity again?
I guess so, yeah, or people. But I suppose humanity would make sense, as you've already said it once, to be consistent.
Humanity should live without exploiting. Now we're going to put in other animals, right?
Well, that's what I would put. At the end of the day, that is what we're talking about here. I mean, it's 1954. We don't know how widely accepted the theory of evolution was. I mean, it didn't really start spreading until that time. We don't know, but that is exactly what we're talking about. But again, this is one of the first times that everyone else's input is going to be relevant. I mean, what does everybody think? How does everybody else interpret this?
Yeah, because I mean, you made the point, right, that if you have the word humanity and the word just animals in the same, I mean, that's almost like a repeat. And so the other animal is just to say, well, it's like saying, humans and other animals, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yes, humanity is grand too. Other animals sounds good. Okay. Let's put that in. Do you want to have a quick look at that while I do that, Andy?
In regards to what are we talking about? A philosophical argument, or I mean, it would be great if some of the ones that already exist just got recognized. I mean, it'd be great if we put forward the case, for example, and just extended stuff like that. Like, we kind of have some of this literature already. It's just that people don't read it.
What's VM?
I assumed vegan movement, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Correct me if I am wrong and it's not vegan movement. I just assumed. Yeah. Do you agree that the vegan movement should work? That's what I thought.
Well, in a weird way, when we've updated these, we'll have an up-to-date argument for veganism, won't we?
Paul's just made an interesting point as well, potentially changing the word exploiting to oppressing.
Yeah, or do the Ronnie thing and have both.
Or have both, yeah. Exploiting and oppressing, yeah. It doesn't make the claim any weaker, does it?
No, but I mean, we've got to be careful we don't change things, right? Without exploiting or oppressing, like this.
Yeah, I don't think that changes the message from what it is.
Yeah, okay, but I mean that basically means that in that one sentence we've made 4 changes. And shall we do that thing that you were saying about highlighting it?
Yeah, we'll make them bold.
Yeah. Okay. Are you doing that or am I doing that?
I'll do that if you want. Why to carry on? So we changed.
Okay, so we'll make that one bold instead of underlined then. Underlined. Okay. So or oppressing, yeah, other animals. Well, the animals bit was there already, so we can.
Yeah, I suppose you can change the animals bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Now then.
Oh, we've gone back again.
I know. Yeah.
There you go. I won't touch it.
Yeah, I knew we'd end up doing that. just for a lark.
Yeah, and I actually think, although I'm not suggesting change it by any means, but I actually think the fact that we've made those few small changes in that sentence actually makes it more understandable than it was before. It's easier to read in that sense. Yeah.
Well, the thing that would worry me is if people, as it were stopped by the language.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, what's that? This is always the problem. It's a problem with in academia when you use kind of old texts or early Marx, that kind of stuff. And so you've either got to appeal to the audience and say, product of their time, put up with it, or as we're doing here, is trying to get around the problem, because what we don't want is for potential readers to stop because they're not used to the language that they see. Yeah. Okay. Right. Next sentence then, or whatever.
Not always fully understood. Right. We're quite happy with the last bit of that. Is accurate, precise, and comprehensive, but not always fully understood.
Yeah, well, I mean that's an interesting part in terms of my position anyway, in the sense that I think that he's kind of getting to the facts. When I did my time tunnel, I was saying that Cross went through this weird process, and I'm not terribly sure why, of having the idea of veganism and then condensing it down into a line and then expanding it back out again. Now, exactly why he did that, I'm not sure. It's not clear. In fact, it can be very unhelpful sometimes. So,
yeah. Especially when it's that sentence. Yeah.
Yes. Well, the least we say about that, the better, possibly. But yes, indeed. So I will say though, just as an aside and a bit of a joke, that Andy has been accused of misrepresenting Leslie Cross by reading out his entire
by narrating all of his work and it's and providing the words for you so you can read along. So thoughts on a postcard, but never mind.
Yeah, difficult to misrepresent something that you've you've read out in its entirety.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I mean, literally, like I started, we kind of started the show with, when we go back to the Brophy essay. Like there's certain words that I've said wrong. I've not actually changed the meaning of anything she said. I've just accidentally said words wrong, but I still want to change it because it was wrong. Like it's important.
Maybe it was emphasis or something. I don't know.
No, it was just tired. When I'm tired, I can still read, but I don't read the words properly. I just read them without kind of thinking about how they're supposed to be pronounced and that kind of thing. So it's just my fault. I just a learn in future. Don't do narration when you're tired.
Right. Okay. We've got a couple of nerdy comments. First from Colleen here. I can get obsessive about formatting.
We should have had you on to be the secretary of you. You could have been the formatter. We could have been the typer, and that would have been all good. But you feel free to join us, though. You can keep the formatting in check and make it easier than us keep, because I've noticed there's a underscore now just before humanity. First sentence, what it could mean for underscore humanity. So
that's right.
We'll have to keep an eye on these.
That's a mistake, that, isn't it? So I'm going to do that right now. Get rid of that. There we are. Look at that. Groovy. Right. Okay. So, do you want to do the next bit?
Yeah. We're on this. This is not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not as surprising as it may seem, for rarely have 9 short words enshrined a reform so massive, the achievement of which would bring a new world and new men to inhabit it.
Okay. Now, we can't put humanity now. So, we did have a little word about this, and I can't remember what we said.
I think we said people, which sounded.
No, we put an A in, didn't we? A new something.
I can't remember what we did say now.
No. Okay, so to make this grammatically correct, we've got to get rid of the men, but we've still got to make it make sense. Make it make sense, folks. So if you've got any ideas.
You know what? Actually, that doesn't work with the new. I was going to say we could have had earthlings, and that would have encompassed all, but it doesn't work.
Well, you could have population, a new population.
Could have new population or generation.
Yeah, funny, wouldn't it? To use the phrase "earthlings" like that might be quite.
To be fair, hang on. You know, earlier when he referred to the word new mutation, would mutation work instead of men? Which would bring a new world and a new mutation to inhabit it.
That's a bit too abstract, I think, personally.
Yes, I suppose for outsiders.
Oh yeah, actually, that could have been it. Actually,
I think it was humans. I think it wasn't people. Yeah, a new human to inhabit it. Was that it? No.
Yeah,
new human. I don't know. What do people think?
You see, you can have a new humanity to inhabit it, or a new population, or you could have new earthlings without putting the A in. New earthlings to inhabit.
Earthlings is kind of like that collective that a lot of people know, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's well, that doesn't that one get us into the problem of kind of, well, you know, a lot of people like to argue that other animals should be regarded as people as well, but then again, it wouldn't matter, would it? Because if they were included in this last part, it wouldn't be a problem, would it? The other animals as well as humanity?
No, because we've already emphasized that above.
New people to inhabit it. Yeah, I mean, I understand the logic of that and the grammar of it. It's just the word people. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do say that's right. We do say.
Yeah, I was thinking species as well, but I don't know whether that's going back in time. Because species would work, but yeah, I like a new generation. I mean, we are
a generation, yeah.
Because it wouldn't be a revolution. It's an evolution. So you could just potentially have a new evolution to inhabit it, but that doesn't really make sense.
See, I mean, what they're getting at is that with in a vegan world, you'd have a new, enlightened, more ethical humanity, right? Because I mean, Matthew Cole talks about this, about the aim of veganism was to transform society, but to transform humanity while you did it, because of the fact that they're interlinked. So you're transforming people's attitude towards other animals. That transforms that relationship, also transforms them, and that then changes the world, right? Yeah. So how about that? You've got evolved humans.
That could work.
We've got enlightened humans. We've got another vote for persons. No, but nobody's gone with earthlings. So maybe, you see, I thought earthlings might be interesting because it's a buzzword in the movement now, right?
Yeah,
but,
that's what I thought too. It was quite it's quite an inclusive term within the movement, and quite a lot of people know it just because of the film.
What do people in the chat think? I mean, is that a bit pretentious, or is it a little bit jargony, do you think, to put earthlings in? Morally evolved, yeah, a new morally evolved population, and a new morally evolved population, or a new. I like enlightened. The idea of the Enlightenment, this kind of thing. But I like evolved because of the fact that that Cross talked about the moral evolution of humanity, right? So I think.
Well, what about? I mean, although this is obviously a little bit of a change, but if you added a new evolved world and population to inhabit it,
I think what we need to do is make us add or subtract as little as possible.
Or a little as possible. Yeah. There's quite a big change there. It would change the wording of the bit. Yeah.
So that's not bad either. New community.
Community. I quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a new community. A new community of humans. A new community. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I was just going on this idea of the fact that it's kind of like a buzzword. So maybe that's not. So we, well, we've got a few choices now. So we're gonna have to decide. So we've got species, generation. We got evolved humans. We got enlightened humans, persons, morally evolved. Somebody likes earthlings. Pretentious. Okay. I just fear non-humans don't understand it. Non-vegans don't understand. Oh, yeah. Oh, earthlings, you mean? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a fair point. In fact, that's probably the major reason why we shouldn't use earthlings, because because it's too kind of in the movement, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
It's too nuanced, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
I mean, a lot of non-vegans do know the word earthlings, but they know it because of the film that they've been told to watch and ignored. They don't know what it sort of entails. Yeah, I quite like community, but the only thing is, in a lot of people's minds, community is a very small thing. It's like their town. They don't think of community as a big, expansive thing. I mean, they should, but they don't.
Well, we talk about the global village, so.
But I mean, community, to be honest, seems the one that works, because it kind of encompasses that unity that we don't have.
Should I put it in just to see what it looks like?
Yeah, let's try some, and maybe that's how we need to do it. Maybe we need to type a few in and see what actually reads the best, as opposed to just making suggestions.
Now we're talking about a new human community to inhabit it, or just new community?
That's good.
Well, again, if we go on that kind of rule, not a rule, but a kind of idea to make as little as change as possible, then
it would just be the one word, I guess. Yeah.
Well, we've got A. We've introduced A as well.
A new community. Yeah, but I suppose that's just to make the sentence make sense. You can't really have.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, community looks good. What does everybody else think? Should bring a new world and a new community to inhabit it.
New human beings. I like community too. New human beings to inhabit it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that essentially is the most direct interpretation, because that's what he meant when he said new men.
Yeah.
So why can't we just put new humans then?
I suppose we can. There's no reason why we can't. It's just that as a sentence, it doesn't really sound right.
We could put new Wombles.
Wait, like when you would bring a new world and new humans to inhabit it, sounds, I don't know, the sentence just doesn't sound right, although that is technically what the word should be.
Whereas this one sounds a bit better than that, doesn't it? A new world and a new community to inhabit
it. Yeah, new. Yeah. I think it's the new humans part that doesn't really ring right, even though that's kind of what it is.
Oh no, but you'd get rid of the A if you're going to do it that way. You'd go a new world and new humans to inhabit.
And new humans. Oh, okay. Yeah. You got rid of the A. It sounds.
Oh yeah, better. You get rid of the A. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Graham's going with Colleen for evolved humanity, or bringing this idea of evolved in. A new evolved community to inhabit it.
Yeah, either of those work. Did you get a timeout? I can still see your comments.
Yeah, I can see them all. Yeah. So I don't even know how to time people out. I don't think you click on that star, do you? Anyway, come on, we're getting stuck here. What we're going to do?
So, can we do a vote?
Oh, come on, we'll have to make a list of all the.
No, there's only really two choices, isn't there? It's new humans, really, or community, and then it's a case of whether we want to put the word evolved in.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've had about 13 different suggestions, so new community.
Most are just extensions on the word community. I can read evolved humanity.
Well, there's persons and things like that, and okay. Well, I mean, I tell you what we could do is we can move on from these type of
come back to it.
Things and come back to them.
Community is one for everyone to have a little think about then.
Yeah, because not only are we going to publish this in word form, but you're gonna read the new one out as another.
Yeah. Once we're quite happy with it, I'll narrate it as sort of like the Surge of Freedom 2023 or whatever, Yeah. So, where's the window? And I'll scroll down a bit.
I've got to admit, I still like this, to be put in front of the word community, but we'll leave it for now, I suppose.
I think. I mean, it's the extra word, but it doesn't change the message in any way.
Did you do your bold job? Did you do your bold?
Oh no,
I didn't. Changes. You didn't, did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, you can't get
because we're going to come back to it, right? So, are we just sticking with community for now? Yeah.
Yeah, just for now. Yeah, because yeah, we can just. I mean,
you added A as well, didn't you?
Yeah, an A as well. We can kind of let it percolate in our subconscious for a little while.
There we go.
Right. So, are we saying we're going to put in other there then?
I would.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say other.
I mean, again, it's one of those where what does everyone interpret when they read that? Do you include yourself or not?
Well, let's ask a movement question. I mean, for me, this kind of construction of other animal or animals other than humans is just normal now. But I mean, like in the movement in general, do people just still say animals?
Well, yeah, it's only when it's pointed out by certain people that there's a problem. I mean, I can remember making a video that kind of expressed this quite well. I can't remember all the facts now off the top of my head, but it was essentially 100 years ago. Nobody could prove that there was a solar system, right? Nobody knew any of this stuff. So the information that's now available to us, whereas now, if me and you had a conversation and I said, "Oh, there's no solar system," you'd be like, "Andy, what are you talking about? Like, this is something I can prove in 2 seconds with a Google search." But 100 years ago, that wasn't an established fact. It wasn't even provable. No one knew for sure whether there was a solar system or any of these things. We didn't know. We could guess. We could speculate. So, like, it's the same now. Some of this information, people just genuinely had a completely different idea of it than what we do now. They're kind of a lot of religion existed then. A lot of culture was different. We're talking about the end of 2 world wars, where all of a sudden everyone was waving flags and was patriotic again, and it was proud to be part of this country, and all of these things that were going on at the same time, which obviously affect the kind of the sociology that goes into these things that we don't have so much anymore. I mean, especially at this point in time in England, what's the percentage of people that are patriotic and proud to be English? Probably the lowest it's been in history. So it's a completely different world that we're looking at it with now, I suppose. So I would look at it and think 50 odd, 70 odd years ago, maybe it wasn't an accepted fact that other animals and humans were ancestors essentially and ascended from the same chain. Maybe that wasn't something. Just like 100 years ago, nobody knew about the solar system. Whereas now we know these things, we can prove these things, and we have this information available. So therefore we can update our thought process. Does that make sense?
I think so. I wasn't listening really.
That's good, as long as everyone else was. But that was I can't remember, but there was I made the video and it was like some specific examples of planets that we didn't even know existed, these kind of things we didn't know about space that we now know and people accept as normality. It's kind of straightforward information, whereas not that long ago we didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah. Colleen has come up with the idea of fellow animals, and on the grounds that this is near the beginning of it, it would be really good here to put believe we should live without exploiting our fellow animals.
Yeah, that fine. I mean, it sounds far more inclusive than other. Other is kind of like pushing them away, isn't it? Whereas that's bringing them in. Yeah.
Except, I mean, in terms of the movement in general, I mean, we're thinking about the audience for this idea. Is that going to be just as odd as man or something for them? You see, how many people talk about fellow animal?
That is an interesting point. Yes, it could be seen as like the anthropomorphic.
I mean, we're into Jeremy Hess territory here, right?
Yeah. It's the same. Jeremy would have been good to have in the chat for this, actually.
Yeah, actually would. Yeah. He'd only been typing though, so what's the point? Well,
Paul raised a good point again. I mean, are we just leaving it without exploiting as it is? Is there a need to add oppression for a second time?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, but do we have to do it each and every time?
That's what I would say. Potentially not, as we're only talking 2 lines up that we've kind of reiterated it.
Also, in terms of the pioneers, they use exploitation the most, I think, really.
Yeah.
So but let's look at what this would look like then. What do you think of that, young man?
It's definitely, like I said, it definitely brings the in, whereas other definitely was more divisive and kind of separative in terms of the language. But it does bring up the point that you said. Does it kind of does it play into this animal lover territory that we want to move away from?
Yeah, I just wonder whether that phrase would just be as confusing for many kind of recent vegans as anything else. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, you've got the idea of ripening people up, but the idea of this entire kind of exercise is to make it easy for them to read. So we've got to have that as our remit. We want the audience to have no kind of reason to stop reading, right? So, but is this giving it? But then, does other animals too? Would it be better just to?
Would it be better to just say all animals
without exploiting animals?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I see exactly what you're saying. Why do we believe that we should live without exploiting animals? I mean,
well, I mean, obviously there's a bit of politics there, but there is some pretty good votes for these. It's just
I personally, I like the inclusivity of fellow animals. It means that we understand that we're all sharing a planet together.
How about Graham's idea, without exploiting other species?
Would work.
Yeah, that would work too, isn't it?
Sentience.
Right. Elliot is voting for.
I like that one. Sentience. That could work without exploiting. But you'd have to change too many things, I suppose.
No, but it's again. I mean, how many new vegans do you know who use that word?
Yeah.
It's like saying we could put pain into something.
Yeah,
true. Yeah. What the hell is that?
Well, if Richard Ryder was doing this, he'd probably change our fellow animals to our evolutionary kin.
Yeah, although I mean that was early Ryder. I don't know what he would say right now.
That's true. So, but again, but in terms of sense, that would be inclusive of all.
Yeah. Elliot is also saying, I think on Google Docs that you can.
You can definitely add comments. Yeah. Well, potentially once we've finished with it, I'll make the actual document obviously available as well as narrating it, so you can potentially download it and whatever.
I do like any species, without exploiting any species. I'm not convinced that is entirely clear. Without exploiting any species. I mean, it kind of is and isn't at the same time. Does that make sense? You know, yes, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
I mean, the thing is with the Donald Watson one not too long before this, you could literally change our fellow animals to exploiting sentient life, but it's whether the new vegans will understand that.
Oh well, that's another spanner you've just thrown into, because I mean, I'm gonna love that, of course, but
it'd be great. It'd be great. It'd work perfectly. It's
without exploiting sentient life. Oh, blimey, okay, you've got my vote for that one. But
yeah, I mean that's how I would look at it, and I would think, well, my friend Donald, you know, not even 10 years ago, said exactly those words. I took that sentence in.
Let's put that in then and see
without
what it looks
exploiting sentient life. Yeah, like that's pretty much what was for. I mean, if Donald Watson thought in 44 that people could understand sentient life, then in 2023, I expect people to understand sentient life.
Yeah, well, it was 45, but I mean that's irrelevant. Ooh, I'm sold by this one, but it's not down to me.
I think this is one of those ones we'll have to put into the chat, because I think that's great. But
how many pages does this have? You'll know that.
I think there's 4. Well, 3.5, because the last one's only yay long.
It'd be longer by the time we get to it.
Crazy time wise, then we could always split it in half.
Okay, I suppose
more time to think about it, but I mean, I'm not doing anything, so I'm more than happy to go through it.
Okay, vegan pundit.
What about non-sentient animals?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of this might be one divide between veganism and animal rights, because from animal rights theory sense, then they kind of don't qualify, and I know that's a phrase that is very loaded, that they don't qualify, right? But you know, non-sentients don't count in terms of animal rights theory, right? Which is why
that doesn't mean that you can't extend them the benefit of the doubt personally.
No, that's the way it normally goes, right? But so we talk about benefit of the doubt. You know, Reagan would talk about that. But I mean, we've got vegan influencers, shall we say, or vegan YouTubers saying that they're now eating bivalves because they don't regard them as sentient. You know, there's a lot of that going on at the moment. You know, so it's an interesting question. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it difficult because you obviously can't put all life, because that would include plants, bacteria, all of the favorites of non-vegans. So you kind of have to have some kind of word that comes before it that kind of specifies. And I suppose sentient is probably the most broad one we have.
Yeah. Our fellow sentient mind. Well, let's leave that for now. But I mean, I'm not opposed to taking it out because, as I said, it's not my.
That is quite a change, you know. Although
Yeah.
it's a good change in my opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Okay, what's next, young man?
This one here.
Now this is one of the best sentences out of the entire essay.
Yeah, the final, if not the immediate answer is a revealing one, for it demonstrates the truth of the claim that veganism is not a mere side shoot in human evolution, but a central extending growth of considerable significance.
Yeah, so this is Cross and his usual theme about the moral evolution of humanity, that by liberating other animals, we're liberating ourselves and all the rest of it. So it's interesting because this is kind of modern sounding already, isn't it? It doesn't need any changes, does it?
No,
you know,
it's great.
It's interesting, you know, like I suppose. I mean, he was obviously just following the convention of the time, and he was a journalist. But I mean, it's interesting. You got this really kind of modern sounding, you know, sentence in the middle of other things that sound a bit dated, doesn't it? You know, so
yeah.
And now this is the one that we were going to change, or we were going to propose a change here, right?
Yeah. Let me just scroll 2 seconds.
Yeah. Josh is saying bivalves are clearly sentient. Well, that's the thing. We do seem to have quite a lot of kind of what you might call Leonard type people in the movement now who are looking for anyone that they can eat. You know, they're just on the search to find other animals that they can eat with a clear conscience. Now, exactly why they even get involved with that kind of malarkey, I don't know, but they are doing, and there's more and more of them all the time.
Yeah. Veganism owes its birth to the fact that at the deepest point within us, we believe impregnably in freedom, particularly perhaps those who were born and bred in these traditionally freedom-loving islands. Which is
so that the last bit I don't like, and also you were thinking about it wasn't long after the war and all that, weren't you, Andy? And stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this like I touched on earlier. We're talking about a time where it's probably patriotism and unity around the country, and celebrating the fact that you were British or English, and all these things was probably the highest it had been in a long time. Certainly a lot higher than it is today. So you can understand that a little bit then, whereas now I just think we know better. I mean, my personal suggestion would to be put a full stop at freedom and just cut the rest.
And that won't be violating our remit.
Wow, it doesn't change anything about the message, does it? You know, it doesn't. It's just cutting out a kind of nonsensical part. But I mean, it's one of those. What does everyone else think? I'm just going to top my drink up.
Well, I'll tell you how we can resolve this for now. I think so. I can remember where the hell it was. You can put you could do like a strike through, right? Like that. So we won't lose it. Okay, I'm on my own. I'm on my own on the riff here. Okay. So using sentient opens the door to controversy and perhaps changes. Do you think it changes his precise meaning? So we're still back to that one before.
Oh, the before one.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Let's press on and then come back to this then.
Okay.
Because we kind of bookmark that comment and kind of come back to it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Strike through is a good idea, rather than deleting it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Right. Do the next one. Freedom to our Freedom to live our own lives in our way according to our own inward light is fundamental to our view of life itself. It is in the light of this concept that we find the true significance of the vegan reform. Only when we see it as a doctrine not of restriction, as those who oppose it mistakenly believe, but out of freedom, do we fully comprehend it.
Yeah, this is interesting, isn't it? It's also interesting that this is a language issue of the time. The fact that the word reform seems weak now, but it didn't then. It was kind of stronger, because feminists talked about reform, first wave feminists, that kind of stuff, and so it seems weak and welfare-y, and that for us now, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, the word reform now is very much attached to welfare, isn't it? Pretty much. That's that the welfare reform is kind of
could be argued. I mean, I wouldn't balk at the idea of the thing of the vegan revolution or something like that. Which would be the vegan transformation. Such something a bit stronger than that. But I'm not saying that there's it's such a bad word that it's got to go. I think there's a case for just leaving it. So I don't think there's anything.
I like that suggestion personally. That's what I was going to say before Sally suggested it. If it was up to me, I would take off the vegan reform and change it to the true significance of veganism.
Oh, yeah, that's an idea, isn't it?
But revolution would also work. But I suppose that in terms of just reducing it, the significance of veganism would work just fine.
Yeah, they also talked about cause a lot, didn't they? We find the true significance of the vegan cause. Is cause better than reform? Possibly, is it? Isn't it?
Probably these days is a stronger word than reform, but not too much stronger. And I suppose the bigger question is going back to kind of the idea of if you were a non-vegan reading this, which word would make the most sense? The significance of the vegan reform, the significance of the vegan cause, the significance of veganism, the significance of a vegan revolution.
Well, put it that way. I think because I'm quite taken by Sally's idea, but I would have thought cause might be the best. But then again, you see, I don't know whether we've got really sufficient grounds to change it at all.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It works just fine. We don't have to. It's just a chance to. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing obvious that would say great. I mean, I think veganism is probably the best of the bunch, but it means quite a lot of change that's not necessary.
Okay, well, shall we just leave it then?
Yeah, I think unless there's actually an argument to say this needs changing, because we should probably just leave it as it is.
There's Graham being a great help.
Yeah, cheers, Graham. Indecisive of always. But yeah, I think that should sort of be our kind of rule with this. That unless there's a reason to change it, that it should stay the same.
Yeah. Okay.
No changes for change's sake, so to speak. But again, I mean, if anyone's got any suggestions or whatever, just keep tapping them in, and then we'll get on to.
Yeah, you see, that one's not bad either, is it?
Transformation, yeah. And obviously, one of the words that people use a lot of times as well is transition, but I don't think that's powerful enough. Transition. I think transformation is kind of the overall thing. Transition is kind of like gradual stage.
Yeah. Graham is saying sorry twice. Sorry, you've blotted your copybook now, Graham.
Did you say sorry for both?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Right. The simple fact is this, that at rock bottom, veganism is the most recent of periodic surges which have marked the tide of freedom ever since history began. It is distinguished from its predecessors by virtue of the fact that it brings a quite new and distinctive feature into the long fight for liberty. It has driven the tide of freedom beyond what has hitherto been held to be its natural boundary, the concept of the free man.
Yeah. So it's that last bit that's got to be changed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could just be the concept of human, I suppose, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the word free remains intact, then you can just put human.
Oh, you like free?
Yeah, I think the free is the you know, I think that's it kind of, that's the whole point, isn't it? I think if we take the word free out of there, it takes the emphasis at the end of the sentence away, because it's basically confirming, essentially hitherto been told that it's been natural boundary, the concept of a free man. If you take the free thing away, then it's just the concept of a human.
I think the fact that he obviously had transatlantic slavery in his mind when he wrote that, didn't he?
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So free humanity then. The concept of free humanity, not the free humanity. Yeah. Should we go for that?
Yeah. I mean, world would probably be too encompassing, right? If it was a free world, I think that would be too broad.
Yeah, and it also makes people think of North America, you know, kind of Neil Young, you
True.
know.
Yeah,
Keep
true.
on rocking in
Yeah.
the free world.
True. Yeah, plus you only have to add an order onto that, and we'll bring out the conspiracy people. So yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to just put that in bold to remember that we've made a change there. Yeah. I don't know. You could go for the old Mel Gibson thing, just like freedom.
Concept of freedom. It would
Yeah.
work. It would work. Yeah, it would work.
That's, you know.
And I mean, all you're adding then is dom, because the word free was already there, right? So you're only adding dom onto the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What do people think?
What about Dom?
Yeah.
Any votes for Dom? We want the Dom votes. Right. Now this one rankles with me, with this particular sentence, but I don't think it's warrants changing it. Or it might be the next one, but it's where we talk about granting rights, but that's just me.
Yeah, it is this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then.
Until the advent of veganism, comparatively few men regarded the animals as being either worthy of or entitled to the right to be free, and probably fewer still realized the impressive effect which the granting of such a right would have upon the freedom of man himself.
Okay, we've got a question mark about the earlier one. Where did the go? You couldn't have the concept of the free humanity, could you?
The concept of was that what it was before? The concept.
No, it's the free man, wasn't it?
Yeah, the free man. Yeah, but was it the free man, or was it free man, or was it the free man? I think it was the free man.
Yeah, it was the free man. Yeah.
So the is missing. Yeah. So the has been taken out. Yeah.
No, I took it out because you can't have the free humanity.
Yeah. We have taken it out. I mean, it's not a mistake.
Right. All right. I just wonder if Colleen is saying it shouldn't be taken out.
Concept of the free humanity.
The free humanity is better. I don't even think that's grammatical, is it? The free humanity.
Oh, the free human, she's saying. The concept
of the free human.
Yeah. So it's the free human, right? Okay.
Okay. Well, what do you think of that then? The concept of the free human. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it either worked fine. I suppose that's what it was before. So you're only replacing kind of. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any real difference between the two personally, but I think it's grammatically that probably does sound better. Of the three human rather than of free humanity.
Do you remember earlier, Andy, when you said it'll only take about 25 minutes?
Yeah. Probably didn't think it through, but it's good, and it's nice that the fact that everyone's getting involved and contributing and stuff as well. That's that's what we wanted. So I don't mind. Like I said, I've got nothing else to do, so I'm more than happy to do this. The indelible significance of veganism is its devastatingly logical demonstration that by denying to the animals the right to be free, man keeps locked against himself the gateway to his own further pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, this is a bit of a loaded term, isn't it? The pursuit of happiness bit. But also, there's lots to be taken out of this, then, isn't there?
Yeah.
Real indelible significance of veganism, but denying what the animals, denying other animals. Is that the first thing? Denying other animals, or
yeah, as opposed to be consistent, it would be the other animals now. Yeah, denying other animals or the other animals. I'm not sure which one it would be. Denying other animals or the other animals.
well, let's just make that change then.
I haven't got my phone available, Joe. I'll have to read it in a bit.
We could kind of use we language here. We keep locked against ourselves.
Yeah, we would work fine, wouldn't it? I mean,
I don't know.
It's obviously written by someone, so that would work, and it would be inclusive.
Well, it'd be written by a human, right? So
yeah, we keep locked. We just have to take the S off.
What do people think about changing this to we language, which is seen as always more inclusive anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, Josh has just made a good point.
Yeah, Colleen is okay about we. This one. Could men be simply cut from the above paragraphs?
Wait, which one is just referring to the last sentence or the one we're currently on?
It's all about a paragraph here. Yeah, okay. Elliot has gone for the free human as well. Could men be simply cut from the above paragraph?
Denying other animals the right to be free.
Well, have we still got we've missed it. We've missed a paragraph here, haven't we?
Did we?
You've got the freedom of man himself here.
Sorry, did I scroll down too far?
Well,
I read that one out. We just didn't change anything.
Yeah,
we didn't change the man here.
Yeah, okay. Freedom of.
But I suppose we could just get rid of "of man" and upon the freedom itself. Oh no, it'd have to be itself rather than himself, rather than freedom itself. Granting such a right would have.
Oh, now then. You see, the thing is, it's not the effect. It's kind of like the effect on humanity, but it's the effect upon the freedom of humanity. That is a little bit. There's a nuance there. So, see, I mean, I wonder. It's interesting that he's put it that way, actually, because the right to be free, and probably fewer still realize the impressive effect granting of such a right. So, humanity granting the right to other animals would have upon the freedom
of man himself.
Okay, so he's making that their liberation is our liberation thing, right? I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does humanity just work there or not? Because we can't have himself left, can we?
No. Freedom of humanity would work fine. You don't need the itself afterwards.
Yeah, we've got few men as well still. We didn't do this one. We must have missed this one.
We must have missed it. Yeah, I must have read it out and then we talked and scrolled down to the next one without actually changing it. Yeah, because we've got comparatively few men as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get it now. Yeah, just take men out. That's what's been
right.
said.
Yeah, comparatively few. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Sorry, we're a bit slow to get there,
I
but
don't
yeah,
know what's the.
we
It's
could
not
do a
controlling
strike
us.
through there, right?
Yeah, strike through men.
Okay.
Regarded the animals as being.
I don't mind striking through a few men.
Someone will clip that. Regarded the animals as being either
fighting for the sisters. Okay. Comparatively few regarded. Yeah.
Upon the freedom of humanity, it make sense.
You see, it's weird, is it? Because he's got men in the first line, but then you got and probably fewer still. So probably fewer men still. I mean, kind of. So it's interesting the fact that he put the men bit in the first place. That's it. That is quite interesting. So would you have to put humanity itself then?
I think humanity would work without the itself. Realize the impressive effect which the granting of such a right would have upon the freedom of humanity
itself.
Or yeah, I mean, or if you wanted to keep it as it is, then it's just humanity itself. Yeah, you just have to change the end one as well.
Okay, so I mean, he's obviously put it there for a reason, because otherwise he could have just stopped at the word man.
The word man, yeah, that's a key point. I suppose it does need the itself for the emphasis. If humanity itself would have upon the freedom of humanity itself, yeah, I suppose that is the right.
And then would you say humanity themselves? We're getting into interesting territory now.
Yeah, I suppose. No one wants to be referred to as an it, right? You're not an inanimate object, so you are themselves. Yeah.
Again, thinking about our potential audience, is that going to be confusing?
Until the advent of veganism, comparatively few regarded the animals as being either worthy of or entitled to the right to be free, and probably fewer still realize the impressive effect which granting of such a right would have upon humanity itself. Yeah, it makes sense. That's if you're going to change man to humanity, again, I think you have to keep the itself.
You read that out though, Andy. You missed out upon the freedom of. You missed that bit out, and he's obviously put that in there on purpose, hasn't he?
That was something I wasn't reading aloud. Then I was just reading to myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So okay, well let's put humanity in, and then themselves. Itself?
I think it would be themselves. I mean, it potentially at the time probably would have been itself, but I think these days it would be themselves.
Is there any nays on this? Is there any people who don't like this?
Speak. I like freedom with or without itself.
Humanity is singular. So Colleen, are you saying itself then is better?
Yeah, I don't know about this bit. I mean, ideally, you just want to put all, but that's too weak.
It's quite jarring. The freedom of all. Actually, that's pretty good, isn't it?
It encompasses, but it's just whether it kind of takes the emphasis out of what he's saying.
Okay, so Colleen is saying itself. Upon the freedom of all. What's wrong with the freedom of all?
Well, it's just, I suppose, it just changes quite a bit. But I like it. I mean, I like it in the same way that it's like the exploitation of sentient life. I like it. It makes it simpler and stronger. But
you could put everyone's freedom, but then that would then cause problem because people would then assume that other animals are not being talked about. But then again, if you say the freedom of all, is that the same? People are going to assume you talk about, I mean, he's talking about humanity, so
would have upon the freedom of. What about all of us then, instead of just all?
All of us, yeah. About all humanity.
I suppose it again falls into this. Is the themselves the important part? or itself, even whichever we
How
go
about
with.
humans themselves? Not self, but selves.
Upon the freedom of
That
human themselves. That
that
works.
that I think that would work.
That sounds better. Definitely better than what we've got
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, let's put that in because that might really work, mightn't it? Humans. Upon the freedom of humans themselves. See, I think it would almost be better without upon the freedom of. No, upon the freedom. It would almost be better without that for some reason for me. I'm not quite sure why. I could explain it, but it just
grammatically I understand what you're saying, but yeah, obviously that's
seems a bit clunky having the freedom bit there. It's kind of not needed, is it? Because I mean, he was a careful writer. He was a journalist, so he's linked their freedom with our freedom, as though that was a separate issue than other more general points or something. Or
it's interesting.
Well, if you can interpret this one.
Roger Yates, do you use American English instead of British English in this document as it realized? Because because it's
Yes.
Right,
Yeah. Okay. It was British English, wasn't it, in the original? Isn't it?
I think she's talking about on the Google document because obviously
this is
the
just
word,
a cut and paste, though, isn't it?
yeah. It's just the Google's obviously set to America. That's all. So it's saying that realize. Look, for example, realize is spelt wrong because it's not got a Z, it's got an S because it's in an American dictionary.
Oh, you mean that's why the red line's there?
Yeah. That's why. That's what she's talking about. Yeah, because they want to correct realize to put a Z in it. Yeah.
Oh no. We can't be having North American English. That's just not decent.
It's not English. It really is that simple.
It will not be tolerated in our freedom-loving lands.
We did the next one, didn't we? We were happy with that.
Okay, so now we're back to
now we're here, right? That's where we are.
No, hang on. Wait a minute. Did we finish this one completely? Yeah.
The real in denying other animals the right to be free. Oh no, we've still got another man here.
No, there's lots to be done here. You got man and himself.
Yeah, we only did the first half and then we went backwards.
We didn't do any of it because when we did the first bit, because there's 3 bits to be done here.
Okay, so let me scroll back up. So we're on this.
So you got man, you got himself, and then you got his.
Animals the right to be free. We keep. No. We keep ourselves locked against the gateway of our own further pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, so that's where we left it, wasn't it? Using we language or not.
That I like that, but it kind of that goes against the tide of the rest of it, I suppose, because we're now writing as we.
It is quite appealing, though, isn't it, to do that?
No, I would have to disagree with North American English is better than other English. North American English is just let's change a word for the sake of it.
Yeah, we and ourselves. So what? Okay,
it's better than Shakespearean English. Though.
Can we try? Let's try it then. So it's we, and then it's not keeps, it's keep. Locked against
ourselves, the gateway of our own further.
Look, it's even offering that the gateway to our. Come on, change it. Come on. It won't.
Our own happiness. Yeah, that works. But obviously, yeah, it's just the fact that we've kind of changed from first to third person, I suppose. But other than that, it works well.
Do we need own here?
Locked against ourselves, the gateway to further pursuit of happiness. I guess not really, because you've already got we and ourselves. It's just a third confirming word.
Well, I'll have to put a strike through that one then, wouldn't I? Forgotten how to do it now already. Strike through. Okay, so what did we change? So we changed the we.
We changed we, ourselves.
We did.
And then you've already stroked through on own. So
we. Right, people, are we happy with that? Are we?
Yeah, we're on page 2.
Oh no. Yeah, listen, if because we're quite happy to make this open mic. So if you want to come on screen with us,
how should I read this as this, basically the bit that's highlighted like that? Yeah, because obviously it extends.
Yeah.
Yeah. To believe in the right to be free means inevitably that we grant the same right to others. If we fail in this, we deny the principle itself. We thus make of Orwell's 1984 a logical possibility, and the slavery of one man to another a justifiable act. To put it in another way, the law of freedom, which is also the law of love, knows no limits.
This is where he gets a bit flowery here. Will this be resolved by taking out the word man?
So everyone can read that, yeah. Potentially.
We just took that one out.
Of slavery of one to another. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. What do people think about that one? Would that do it?
Logical possibility and the slavery of
shouldn't ourselves go after keep? Where's keep? Where's keep?
That denying other. Yeah. We keep ourselves locked against the gateway, I think. Or should it?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've got,
that makes more sense, yeah.
So if I put that in square brackets, because we're entering that in, right? No, but we've got ourselves here. And
no, I think it means that ourselves should be there instead of where it is.
Oh,
we keep ourselves locked against the gateway of our further pursuit.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Apologies. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah. Are you sure that's what was meant, or have we?
I think so. I mean, when they said it, that does make more sense, but they can hopefully confirm that is.
We might completely feck this up. Replace with human or person. Replace what? The man.
Man that we took out.
Slavery of one person to another. But I mean, he's now talking about more than just humanity now, isn't he? So he's back to talking about, because really he's getting at, we can't enslave each other, and so therefore that's what he's saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, by just taking the man out, it widens it to everyone, doesn't it?
Unless he's trying to make the point that obviously we, even then, had kind of stopped the slavery of the humans for the most part, whereas the slavery of non-humans was still obviously, even more rife now than it's ever been. So maybe that's what he's trying to say, that it's normalized to enslave non-humans, but if people don't realize that their freedom and our freedom are the same freedom, that one day we could actually re-enslave humans using the same logic. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, that would be the only way that we need to keep
the slavery of one man to another. It means the slavery of one man to another man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not talking wider than that at the moment.
No, it is a human, isn't it? He's trying to say, look, he's trying to get. I think the point is, look, this is kind of if it's kind of like the Bodicea thing. If it can happen to one, it can happen to all. If you allow this.
Yeah, but we can then do what Colleen was saying here. We could put human or person there.
Yeah. Yeah. Either of those work. I suppose human would be consistent with humanity and what we've done so far, but either work.
Should we put human in there?
I think taken. It does. It's just taking out man works fine. It's just whether it's really important that's what he was trying to say. That's the key thing. Was it an extension? Is that the point he's trying to make, that this is just encompassing for all, or was he trying to make the point that this could spread if we don't see the injustice of what's happening to animals? There's no reason for it not to spread to humanity. I don't know. I can't say. Can't ask him.
No, it's the other way around, isn't it?
I would like to think so. I mean, it would, but it's just the fact that he's added that man. Would he have just not put from one to another?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's talking about kind of injustice amongst humanity at the moment, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it does work as a sentence to take the word man out, but I don't know if that means we're changing the structure of the sentence. So I think we might be best to change man to human, and then I think we're playing it safe.
Yeah, well, we've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's been said here? Most often replacing man with human will work.
Yeah.
Okay. And Elliot is saying the point is in reference to the book, so I think that's why man is specified here.
That's a good point, actually. He is referencing 1984.
84,
so I suppose it's what man. Yeah, that's a good point.
Should have been Animal Farm, really, shouldn't it? Eh?
Well, yeah, to be fair, Orwell was a bit ahead of his time, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, so are we done that one? And obviously we're going to leave all that love bit in and everything, because we'll find that a bit flowery, but it's not
but
too bad.
It is what it is at the end of the day, yeah.
Because in his
mind, man has excluded the animals from its operation. He has set arbitrary limits upon it, and in so doing has reaped what he has sown, a severe limitation upon his own progress. It is upon this factor, this little recognized bar to the upward growth of man, that veganism throws such a ruthless and revealing light.
Now, I'm always intrigued here by the word "it's." Is that talking about, what's the agency here? Is this talking about mind? It's the operation of the mind?
I don't know that part either. I wasn't sure with "it's" what is referring to. Is the "it's" still referring to the animals?
No, the mind of man, surely. Because in his mind, man has excluded the animals from its operation. He can't be talking about man. He wouldn't call man its. So it's got to be mind.
I suppose it's got to be the mind, yeah. He has set arbitrary limits. Yeah, that would make sense.
He has set arbitrary limits on it, on his own mind. Yeah, the mind. Yeah, okay, but okay. Well, there's still.
So is that humanity?
Because you got his first.
You'd have to change it to your or their or our.
Yeah, this one might be a bit tricky to change, I think.
Because in our mind, humanity is excluded. Yeah. Because in their minds, humanity has excluded the animals from its operation.
Is this looking back to previous humanity almost, or present? Because in his mind, man has included the animals from its operation. Oh, we need some help on this one, folks. Maybe people can write out what you think. Just that first bit down to sown or something, maybe. I'm a bit stuck on this one, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm only, it's my personal interpretation or whatever, but it almost seems as though like the exclusion and setting arbitrary limits, that's speciesism in different words. That's discrimination based on what someone looks like or the characteristics. They're arbitrary limits, they're exclusions. That's how I would see that, and in doing so has reaped what he has sown. I.e., what goes, if you're going to discriminate against one species, you're allowing your species to be discriminated against, following on from, if you don't understand freedom as being a concept for all, then you're not free. That would be my interpretation, that it's a follow-on extension.
Sally might have got it here. Look, because the human mind has, right? Because the human mind has excluded other animals from its operation.
That makes sense, yeah. And then what would you change the he to we?
Well, let's do one bit at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to, yeah. But that would work, the human mind.
Because okay, let me bold that. You're supposed to be the bolder. I've ended up being the bolder. As excluded. Do we say the other animals or just other animals or what? Well, you see, we've got that possibility of our fellow animals again.
Yeah. Because the human mind is excluded. I suppose it would work without the other animals from its operation. But it depends whether you want it to be consistent and again and do that the fellow, yeah.
See, the point is you've got you get a bit of an urge to do a bit of ripening up here, don't you? In the sense that maybe just not only bring it up to date, but kind of even take it further than people.
Which is obviously something we've got to be a little bit wary of, yeah.
No, yeah. So
because the human mind has excluded the animals from its operation.
See, there's no.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, other would be a very small change because you're literally putting 2 letters on. But
yeah, but isn't there a case again, given the movement, just saying animals? I mean, it goes against our instinct, right? But in terms of the audience we've got in mind, you could even, how about putting other in brackets?
Yeah, that would work fine too, actually.
I think the human mind, yeah, we've got
excluded.
That, yeah.
Other would work in brackets, yeah. That would also work.
And you just put that in round brackets, wouldn't you?
And yeah, and bold
like
it.
That, yeah. So I guess I better bold that down.
Yeah, put it in bold as it's an addition. It's a change.
Since you're on strike for your bolding responsibilities, has excluded other animals from its operation. We have.
It would have to change to we have then, yeah. But are we talking? I mean,
we are talking.
We're talking about the human mind, aren't we?
We've been talking for a while, actually, Andy.
So because it's from its operation, would it be it has set arbitrary limits? But then again, I suppose it's set upon it. So it would be we. Because the it is at the end of the sentence.
Well, I mean, this is an incredibly philosophical point here, but like where is the mind? In terms of the mind and the body and all that kind of stuff that philosophers like to argue about. Angels on pins and all this kind of stuff, right? And so,
I think the first thing should be we have, because you've got the it again at the end. So the
agency then is the human. If you say
so the we would be the person, and the it is talking about the mind.
Yeah. But the point is, there's no kind of thing about where is the mind, because some people I think believe that the mind is not necessarily in the brain. So. Oh, okay. Okay, speak to me. What am I supposed to do? Tell me what to do, Andy.
I would change that to we have, but
we have
arbitrary limits upon it, and in doing so has we have reaped what we've sown. Have reaped what we've sown.
A severe limitation on our own progress.
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay, so the first one is we have here. Right?
We have set arbitrary limits. Yeah.
Okay, let me bold them while we go, otherwise I'll lose it. Upon it. You see, there's the it there again. I'd love to know what a philosopher would make of this, because he's talking about humans and the human brain or the human mind. It's quite fascinating, isn't it?
But essentially, that's when I was narrating it. That's how I depicted that bit. Like, he's basically talking about, because I mean, the word doesn't exist, right? In this time, there's no speciesism, but that kind of seems what he's talking about. We've excluded animals, so that's the speciesism, the discrimination. They're not the same as us, or we're stronger, or we're more smart, or any of these things. And then it's
what
like,
I'm saying, though, Andy, is the word "it" there? Does that mean imagination?
it could well be imagination. It's certainly the mind, whether it's the imagination, whether it's inclusion, whether it's the respect, whatever. But it's certainly not a thing. It's definitely a thing he's talking about, which I would interpret to be the mind. Like I said, that seems to me like he's talking about speciesism. We've set arbitrary limits. We've decided who is okay and who isn't okay, who is food and who is, I don't know, entertainment. These are arbitrary limits that our mind has placed discriminatively wise, which for me just sounds like speciesism. But obviously before that's a collective term. But that's just how I interpreted it. I mean, I don't know for sure.
This has got to be changed to have, hasn't it?
In doing so, have reaped what we have sown, yeah. And then the next one would be our own progress.
A severe upon our own.
The severe limitation upon. Yeah, I guess it would be our own still. You don't need to take that own out.
Okay, do you want to read that and see if it makes any sense?
Yeah, because the human mind has excluded other animals from its operation, we have set arbitrary limits upon it, and in doing so have reaped what we have sown, a severe limitation upon our own progress.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fine.
Yeah, it seems to me, right, that it'd be easier to understand if it said we have set arbitrary limits upon our imaginations. So, or even our moral imagination. That would be great, wouldn't it? Our immoral imagination, that would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Oh, it is upon this factor the little recognized bar to the upward growth of that man. Humanity.
Where we say now, it is upon this factor with little recognition bar to the upward growth of humanity. Okay. This is quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. That's what I say. I'm in no rush to get away, even though we are only on page 2.
We're probably boring the pants of everybody else.
Well, they're still here, so we're all right.
Okay, put your pants back on, folks. We're not finished yet. Upward growth of humanity. That veganism throws such a ruthless, revealing light. There's interesting language, isn't it? Ruthless.
Yeah. And again, it's he knows what he's saying here.
Yeah. This is the Reagan thing, isn't it? Where he's going, animal rights is a kind of doing thing. It's not, so if you accept this, then this happens, right? It's a Francione thing about it, a moral obligation kind of thing. And so the ruthlessness is, this has got consequences, isn't it?
I would definitely say so. Elliot's made a good point as well. We should potentially change the at the start of that to be our now to match up with everything else in that sentence.
Okay. You can put them up as well, can't you?
Oh yeah, I forgot I can edit it. I'll change that one if you want.
No, I meant you can put up the comments.
I didn't even think. I forgot that I could do that. I'm only used to doing that on a
Oh, you see that?
Thursday when I'm
People
not part of the
leave
thing. Yeah.
it all to Roger. Go on, leave it
I
all.
completely forgot about that. Yeah, I can actually see the buttons on the side as well. But yeah, when I'm speaking, I'm not used to being able to touch things.
Okay, you have to speak with boxing gloves on.
Yeah, that's it. Right.
Okay, so I don't know where we're looking at now. You have to direct me to.
Did you change that hour, or otherwise I'll go back and do it? No,
I haven't changed
I'll change
anything.
that first. So change this to hour, and then this is where.
Oh, hang on a minute. No, surely it'd be the.
But what we put, we have, and we an hour.
Yeah, no, but that. Oh,
Otherwise, again, we're going from first to second person, so to speak.
Yeah, but that's the start of the sentence, though.
Because the human mind has excluded the other animals, or our human mind. I think it would be there, actually. I think you're right on that one. Because the human mind has excluded other animals. We have set arbitrary limits, and we have certain. I'm not sure. We could do with like an English professor in here for the grammar stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
people
sure.
in the chat, would you change the human mind to our human mind or not? Oh, hang on a minute.
Oh, our mind, not our human mind. Oh, okay.
Well, it'd have to be our minds then, wouldn't it, with an S?
Yeah, I think it would have to be the human
See,
mind.
we're starting to make a lot of changes here, you know.
Yeah. Should we stick with the then?
I don't know. I can see Elliot's point, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think for consistency's sake, I can definitely understand, but at the same time, I don't know whether the would be right in this context, because it's kind of like the
Elliot's now
and then
doing a Graham and saying they both work. Thanks, Elliot. You're a pal.
Both work. Well, we'll have the hour then.
Well,
yeah, we'll have to pick one. The or hour.
I mean, the more I think of it, I quite like because our minds, but that's more, isn't that changing more than not? See, we've got this kind of rule that we should change as little as possible.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like but
I mean, just look at all the work we've done in that one paragraph. We've done all kinds of stuff in this paragraph. I mean, we've ripped this paragraph apart, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, it would be another change, but we could change it to because human minds have, but that would be even more changes.
Yeah, well, again, if we're going with this kind of we language, then what Colleen is saying is true as well. The fact that the makes it more abstract, but I don't think that's a problem because it's the beginning of the sentence.
Yes,
personally.
But, and then obviously, so yeah, this is it. I'm not sure whether the consistency matters because I think
no, but I mean,
sounds better.
Yeah,
because the human mind, I think, sounds better than our human mind, but I'm not sure in terms of which it should be. Well, let's put it back to the, because that's what we said originally. And if there's any objections to that, it can be one of those ones we come back to.
Okay.
And then we are here, right? Is that where we got? Yeah.
Are we about halfway through?
You're
going to say not even that, aren't you?
I think this is the end of the second page. So we're.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said the fourth page is short.
Yeah, the fourth page is only half a page. So we've basically got, once we finish this bit, there's a page and a half to do. But it depends how long each paragraph takes, I suppose. Okay. When we turn to the question of how veganism came into the world, we find an excellent example of the indirect approach which forces of destiny sometimes adopt.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a bit abstract, this part, isn't it? I mean, what the hell are the forces of destiny, people? But there's nothing to change there, though,
the forces of destiny, I suppose, look at from the outside, are things that nobody can stop from happening. Destiny is fate, right? Like destiny is preordained, going to happen.
May the forces of destiny be with you.
But when we turn to the question of how
Is there any such thing as the forces of destiny?
Well, no, because we can't obviously test that destiny is a thing or whatever. It's just a belief system, really, isn't it? It's kind of like faith.
It's the end of the Planet of the Apes. What is he going to find out there? He'll find his destiny.
Which forces the destiny,
and he won't like it. And he didn't either. Okay, I don't suppose there's anything to change.
There isn't anything to change. No, we'd be changing it. It's just one of those sentences.
Yeah.
So hang on.
You know, you can get in the habit of
that's what we don't want to do. You know, there's nothing wrong with that as it is. There's nothing to change. So
yeah. Colleen's saying, leave that alone.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The mundane fact is that the seed of veganism grew out of a year's argument in the correspondence columns of the Vegetarian Messenger about the moral case against the use of dairy produce by vegetarians. At the end of the correspondence, a handful of vegetarians decided they would like to form themselves into a non-dairy group within the Vegetarian Society, but the society declined.
Yeah, so this is a story I tell, isn't it, in the history?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's nothing to be changed.
There's nothing in there, is there?
No.
Well, we've done really quick on those two.
Yeah, we're really rocking it now, man.
There you go. Move back to there.
And go on.
And suggested that these few members should set up an organisation of their own. Thus was a Vegetarian Society the unwitting handmaid of destiny. For the direct result of its own action was the formation of the Vegan Society in November 1944.
Okay, so that's his reference to destiny there.
Yeah.
So destiny's got everything to do with vegetarians, apparently.
Apparently, according to the Vegan Society today, that didn't even happen anyway. That date's wrong. Leslie must have been forced to type that up.
Yeah, I know. Whipped into submission and everything, yeah.
So the first of there's nothing to change in the whole paragraph, is there?
No. You probably need a comma after the word thus, but
let's just have another look at it before we move on. But I don't think.
Oh, do you? I don't know. Do you? Thus? Would that be grammatical?
Thus,
comma?
Potentially it does. Thus was. Actually, no, I don't think it does. Thus was the Vegetarian Society the unwitting handmaid of destiny. No, I don't think it does.
No, thus what? No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it would without the was, wouldn't it?
Without the was, yeah. Thus the Vegetarian Society would, yeah. Right. So, everyone happy with this one? And we'll move down to this.
Yeah, nothing to be done. But in terms of his kind of argument, it's quite interesting because, of course, what tended to happen was the vegetarians let the vegans off the leash, really. To use that, it's probably a non-vegan point. I don't know word, but what it did was they could then go, "Oh, we can think now as vegans, not as non-dairy vegetarians, right?"
Yeah.
And I've always said, and I always will, that was a massive benefit to us. Otherwise we'd still probably be part of the Vegetarian Society.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those things that you can see it was sort of destiny in the same way that they picked the name vegan, right? Because all of the others were terrible. So it's kind of like you look back at those things and think, well, yeah, it was meant to be. I can understand that sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if he had that in mind too, because there was some weird ones, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, even he says that when he's talking about it. He kind of alludes to the fact that they're no
dairy
good.
ban. Do you remember dairy ban?
Yeah, he kind of laughs them off. So yeah, exactly. But it makes you think, if he thought they were rubbish, how they even became suggestions in the first place, how they were even potential options, and why you talk about them. But I suppose it's to make the point of how bad they were, and you're lucky that we got the one we did.
Blimey, we're coming up to 2 hours here.
I know.
I don't believe it.
Let's do this next one. Then the new society was not long content with being merely non-flesh, non-dairy, non-egg, non-honey. Commodities such as fur, leather, and wool joined animal food as being non-vegan. There was an early attempt to get to the root of what is wrong with the relationship between man and the animals, to deal with the cause rather than its almost uncountable effects. However, not without some years of internal stress and strain was the society able to be precise about what it wanted to do. It made up its mind finally on November the 11th, 1950, when it agreed in a special general meeting that what it needed to do was end the exploitations of animals by man.
Okay, so there's a bit of work to be done on this, but we can just have between humans and other animals, right?
Yeah, that first one. Let me highlight it. Hang on. Oh, it is highlighted. Why doesn't that stay blue? Why does that go grey? Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is weird, that, isn't it? Yeah. I've lost
I guess
it
it's
here.
because I changed the window again.
So we're here, right, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the. There's no one before that, is there? No.
Between humans and other animals, right?
Yeah. To deal with the cause rather than its almost uncountable effects.
Although we've just fallen into the use of other animals without really resolving that issue, to be honest. But between humans and other animals, to deal with the cause rather than its almost uncountable effects. Stress.
And it's just at the very end then.
Yes. So we could put human there, the human exploitation. But then again, I think we might have to go back. This might be a good place to put oppression back in.
Yeah.
So if we put human exploitation and oppression of other animals, but then the by man bit can go, right?
Yeah, that I mean, as long as everyone would be in agreement with that, yeah, it makes sense. It's a potentially a stronger message, and grammatically, it's better.
It's got to be other animals, right?
Yeah.
Again,
got bold.
you know, I mean, there is a case for changing all that, right? So, you know, fellow animal, you know, all that. We've not really totally resolved that, really, but. Right. Now, the interesting thing about that is, well, first of all, who was it? John somebody or other from the, I think it's International Vegetarian Union, I believe, said that when they were talking about non-dairy vegetarians, they actually were talking about people who would exclude eggs and honey already.
Yeah.
That was just used as part of the deal. But the interesting point is, of course, is that now they kind of got the freedom to do their own thing. They move quickly away from food and so that's pretty good, isn't it? I don't think it was a word that was. I think. See, did first wave feminists, for example, in fact, Colleen would know this. Include oppression, or did they talk about exploitation of women, or like the right to vote? Did they talk about oppression there, or is it exploitation, or neither? Or what was said? So I'm not quite sure how prevalent that language was in those days.
Yeah, I mean, even 10 years later, oppression was still not being used as the kind of word to describe oppression. People were still using other stuff, even in the 60s.
Well, 10 years after this, the word cruelty started to be emphasized a lot.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Where are we moving on? Yeah, ready to move the next bit.
Yeah, nothing else to do, I don't think.
Yeah. Between 1944 and 1950, the inner and true meaning of veganism was held in solution, undefined, and incompletely recognized. The non-dairy motivation was from the start clearly insufficient as a final meaning. It was in fact no more than the trigger movement that impelled a new and profound truth into the world. In 1950, when the meaning of veganism became generally apparent, it was formulated into a simple phrase which was inserted into the society's constitution.
Nothing to change, is there?
No.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that, but we shouldn't. We ought to just go on.
Yeah, otherwise we'll be here another hour.
Yeah.
Right, next bit.
Maybe split that up into two.
What, go down to here?
Yeah,
or
yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. Since 1950, there has been no doubt as to its meaning. The short definition quoted in the early part of the article is amplified by Rule 4A. The society shall seek to end the use of animals by man for food, commodities, work, hunting, vivisection, and all other uses involving exploitation of animal life by man.
Okay, so again, we've got to decide: are we going to put oppression back in there now, or what? So the use of other animals.
There's one before that, isn't there? And there's two man in that bit. The society shall seek to end the use of animals.
Yeah, this bit here.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you've got to have other there, right?
Yeah, other animals, and then I suppose it's humanity, isn't it? It's or by humans.
Or by humans, yeah.
Yeah. And then I suppose it would be humans again in the other one, wouldn't it? It's the end. It's just for consistency.
And involving exploitation of animal life by
or humanity.
You can have humanity there.
Yeah.
Humanity. Get rid of this.
Or that that last one. That's a good shout by Colleen there. We could just have exploitation of animal life. Full stop.
Sentient life.
Or sentient, or even better, yeah, sentient life. That's consistent then with what we put earlier. Yeah. There's no need to have the second one.
But it's more changes though.
That would affect, yeah, it is well, it's only taking out a word. You're not adding anything in. You're only adding a full stop after life. But I suppose again, it's whether it changes the dynamic of the sentence.
But do you want oppression here too?
Did you just add it in the one above the last paragraph?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that you'd maybe leave it out then.
Do you think there's a kind of case to do this?
That could work. Yeah, as if it's sort of like interchangeable.
Well, Ronnie would argue it's not, but yeah, it's kind of like to just include it more often, just to get people thinking about it. Of what, sentient life?
No, not sentient life here, because the explanation is yeah. I think that's probably right. In fairness, as much as that does sound better as a sentence, I think it would be too much changes. So you should probably just leave it as by humanity. I think if we put of sentient life, then that's quite a significant change to the sentence.
We've also just got animal life. I mean, would the real phrase be other animal life? Because it sounds a bit clunky, doesn't it? So you've got other animals here already.
Commodities were and all of the uses. That is true. I don't know. What does everyone think? I mean, I quite like the idea of just putting a full stop after animal life, but I don't know whether, like I said, it changes the dynamic that was meant with the sentence.
Well, other animals can't oppress and exploit each other anyway, so it's got to be humans doing it.
True. Yeah, true.
But then again, you see another problem here is that this is a quote.
That's true.
So the least we alter an actual direct quote. In fact, there's a case that we shouldn't at all, but then that'll completely feck us up in terms of, modernizing the language. If we left the quote intact, it would kind of stick out almost now.
True. Yes, that is very true. Yeah, I suppose that does put us in a bit of a predicament. Yeah, I don't think, although it sounds better, I don't think that we can just put we don't think we can change it and put a full stop there. I think the end by humanity, or as it was before by man, is quite important. But it's just, I mean, I don't know. What do people think about the idea of the slash? I know Colleen said she didn't like it.
We've violated the fact that we're dealing with a direct quote here.
Yeah,
but I mean, we have to. So does it matter?
Yeah, because we already changed the same word in already, so we kind of have to be consistent with it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if we were doing this logically, we'd have already done the Constitution, which I think is quoting from the one before this. We'd have already potentially changed that, modernized that, so we'd be quoting our modernized version in theory. Obviously, we haven't, but in theory, if we were to do them in chronological order, like he wrote them, we'd have already modernized the quote that he's quoting, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, we got a vote against the slash, and also Elliot
Cross
is
wouldn't
saying,
like the slash. Yeah, to be fair, I don't disagree with you there. I don't think he probably wouldn't like the slash. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether they'd be happy about any of this personally. It's all conjecture.
who's got a Ouija board?
Yeah, to be fair, of all the people that you could communicate with, it'd be nice
Sort
to
of,
ask them.
yeah, John Cross, about that essay you wrote in 1954.
Yeah, we've got some questions.
Yeah, not all life, because that would include plants and other non-sentient life. Well, we could, although he's not here now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I know you're going to potentially speak to him at some point coming up. Then it's one of those things that you could potentially ask him and say, "Look, this is what we did. What did you think?" But the problem is, John was very young, wasn't he? It's not like he was a
he actually said that in recent correspondence. He's saying that he met Watson, but he didn't like him very much. But he was only a kid. I mean, he was.
Yeah, well, I asked him the question, if you remember, when you were doing that. I can't even remember what it was now, but like the long-term vegan conference thing on the Facebook Live. I asked him the question then, and he more or less said he didn't really remember it. It's kind of like the same as I remember being a kid, but I don't remember every aspect of. I certainly don't remember what my dad wrote when he was sat at a desk, so to speak. Even if I remember my dad sat at a desk, it's just people don't have that memory.
Well, he does say that he's absolutely adamant that Leslie Cross and Arthur Ling came up with the word vegan, though.
Yeah.
Which of course would another thing that's disputed. So.
Yeah, which obviously goes against the thing. Yeah. Well, we split this into two, didn't we? So. Before we move on, was everyone happy with those changes? The last section of this paragraph, the first bit, was that what we were leaving it as? Yeah, animal life by humanity, and
yeah, I mean the most flagrant wrong is the fact that we've changed a direct quote.
Yeah, but like I said, if we'd have done this, I mean, we started with the surge really because it's kind of the most important one, so to speak. But if we'd have done this, starting with them all, so starting with of Man and Nature, and that's the first one that we modernized, and we went through them chronologically, then the quote that we're quoting, we'd have already changed. It's only because we've started halfway through.
Is it quotable by putting in words in brackets rather than changing anything substantial or not? I don't think it is it? Because you've still got man and all that kind of stuff. So, we'd have to put bracket HU bracket S. I mean, it would be ridiculous. Yeah. So, I don't think we've got any choice. We've got to do what we're doing, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's read the second part of this then. Although prior to 1950, there was a good deal of argument as to what veganism in fact was, one thing was never in doubt. The impelling power behind the movement was and remains compassion for the animals, arising out of their treatment at the hands of man. It was compassion that led the first handful to band together in 1944, and it is compassion that provides the motive power today. Like my least favorite paragraph in it. 1 second.
Yes, it's. I thought you might say that. Yeah, because it's kind of full of words that we now regard as fairly weak, isn't it? I'm just saying, Andy, this is full of language that we now regard as fairly weak.
Yes.
It's got treatment and not use. which we
Treatment,
now
compassion.
compassion. Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of very kind of
It's
nowadays.
a nice paragraph without the nuances of veganism that we know now. In terms of, you know, words, in terms of like lyrical flow and that sort of poeticness, it's great. It's great sentence in that regard. But in terms of what we know, looking at it from this perspective, yeah, it sounds really flowery and weak.
Actually, that I never thought of that. It'd be interesting. I mean, one interesting thing about you reading Cross is that you're a poet, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I try. I mean, I don't know whether anyone's picked that up, but certain sentences or certain parts of it that I feel are very poetic, I try and add that kind of, I don't know, when I'm narrating it.
Okay, so the first thing is, do we do anything about this word animals or just leave it as it is? Because again, we've got the problem fellow, other, what, you know.
We could put all.
Yeah, except yeah, well that gets us into territory, doesn't it?
No, compassion isn't a dirty word. You're absolutely right. It's just a failure. It's not the word that's the problem. It's the kind of hijacking and association of the word. I mean, I don't think there's at all a problem with the word love. I think it's a fantastic word. The problem is most people either don't use it correctly or don't know what it means and what it entails. That's the issue. It's not so much the word that's the problem. It's who uses it and how they use it that becomes the potential issue. And that's the problem with most words.
It's a lot to do with frequency of use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Myself, but whoops, I'm gonna have to mute myself. I'm gonna need to sneeze. Hang
on. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing to change there, really, is there? And the only addition you could make would be all, and it's adding for adding's sake.
I was going to sneeze and I didn't have to. Right. So, do we put other here or what, Andy?
Yeah, I suppose that would be the only thing we change. I mean, you could leave it as it is, and it wouldn't be a problem. But I suppose to remain consistent.
Oh, you got hands of man here.
Where's hands of man? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we have the hand. I suppose it would be humanity again, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Every time I write other, I've got fellow bouncing around my head all the time.
I like fellow, but I do think that we are kind of, yeah, I don't know. It could be misinterpreted that we're, you know, anthropomorphizing the whole situation when we're not. But even though that's not how it came, we've got to think that this is obviously for non-vegans too, for their understanding.
Here's a question for you, Andy. This is interesting. Think animals only veganism. They would probably put humans here, sort of humanity, wouldn't they? As though it's more of a kind of pointed finger.
Yeah.
At the hands of humans, yeah.
Well, actually, that, to be perfectly honest, they probably put animal abusers instead of man.
Yeah. The hands of yeah, okay. Well, let's not go there. But which one are we going to choose? Humanity?
I think humanity, yeah.
Okay. Well, the politics of social movements. The first handful to band together, and it's compassion that provides the motive
power today.
The motive power today. That's interesting. Motive power. That's an interesting phrase, isn't it? The motive power. I mean, would we now say motivational? Is that what he's getting at? We would, wouldn't we? We'd say motivational here, wouldn't we? For that, the motive power.
I don't know. Is it, or is he talking about?
The motivational power to join the society, surely.
Yeah, I guess it is, or is he just literally talking about the motive, i.e., why you do something?
Yeah, because it's not motive power; it's motivational impulse, isn't it, to join this?
It's the hyphen between today as well. I've never seen that before.
Right.
Yeah, because like obviously that's not how you'd write today, is it?
Well, we could check the vegan to find out that that's been transcribed properly.
Or is it today, as in to date, to this moment, up until now?
No. He'd put to date, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose he would. Yeah, true. Right. Let's do the next one. As a society, an important part of our work is to bring to notice of men everywhere something which might otherwise escape their attention. The all-around importance of animal emancipation.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
See, that's that word emancipation is kind of their big word, isn't it? That's the word that's used a lot, which we don't see emancipation too much now.
No, exploitation and emancipation, yeah, that's right. And reform and cause. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, in sort of modern times, you only really see the word emancipation now when it's some sort of spoiled American that's divorcing themselves from their family and wants like half of granddaddy's money. That's the only other time I ever hear that word mentioned. And don't you know? Besides reading these, you don't hear those things.
It's not used much at all. No, you're right. Yeah. Now, well, we've got probably about animal emancipation, but what about the men bit?
Yeah, the notice of people. With that people.
Yeah, you see, I was thinking that people. Yeah. Persons everywhere. People. Yeah. I mean, people seems the logical thing, doesn't it? There.
Yeah, which might otherwise escape their attention. The notice of is to bring to notice. It's a weird way to word it, in fairness, isn't it? Like, is to bring to notice. You'd think it would be to make people aware or whatever.
Well, that literally is product of the time, though, Andy.
Yeah.
And the important part of this for me is the all-round importance of animal emancipation, because that is a loaded term for cross.
Yeah,
it's incredibly loaded, because it's basically not just saying it's going to be good for the other animals, right? But what do we do? What do we do about it? We do put another other there, or leave it as it is? You know, it's like you know, people. I mean, in the movement, people don't say other animal cruelty, do they? Or other animal suffering. They, you know,
it's just animals. Yeah, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't put the other in that one.
You wouldn't.
The all-around importance of animal emancipation. I don't think that the other's important there.
But then, wouldn't you say you're implying humans as well, when it's not justified?
I suppose you would have to take that into consideration. As a society, the important part of our work is to bring to notice of people everywhere something. The all-around importance of other animal emancipation.
Yeah, in its historical niche, then animal emancipation means other animals, but in the modern day, you'd have to specify it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And I suppose since we have with all the other times, we'd have to for consistency's sake.
Oh, this is interesting from Paul. Look at that. Means energy.
Power means energy. Okay. Provides the energy today. Yeah, that would make sense. Compassion that provides the energy. Yeah,
yeah, but if you heard the phrase motive energy, would that mean any more to you? I'll take that as a no.
I'm just sorry. I was just reading the comment.
Oh, okay, right.
Because that makes sense.
I thought you were deep in thought there. I thought
I was just as literally. I was thinking. I was just reading Elliot's comment. So it's not a phrase I would use. I mean, not at all. No, I've never heard of that. To be fair, motive energy or motive power.
I mean, the other word you'd think of is emotive, but that doesn't seem...
emotive is where my brain keeps wanting to go, yeah. Or motive as in, why did this happen? Why did the suspect kill the victim, so to speak? The motive, you know.
You see, the point is, for me, motivational come to mind, not what you just said.
Yeah, which would make sense.
Motivating, yeah, motivate, yeah.
Which makes sense of the context.
What makes you move? Energy that makes you move, yeah. So I suppose in that sense, you could say then it means gives you the energy to do something. Or you know, we'd like to say the moral energy to do something, wouldn't we?
Yeah, yeah. The incentive, the inspiration. Yeah, yeah. So there's a couple good suggestions about changing it to potential freedom or all around importance of animal liberation or I personally, again, if it was up to me, there would be the all around importance of liberation for all, but it's a big change.
Oh, yeah. Well, animal liberation would
But
be
liberation instead of emancipation would be fine. And most people know that word better than, and like I said, most non-vegans say teenagers are not going to know what emancipation means.
No, you know, that old jailbird would like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. So maybe we should do that.
I half thought he might join us tonight. Come in, say that we need to change exploitation to pressure and then pop out again.
Oh, I think it's in his pressure chamber today, I think. Whatever it is. I like animal freedom. Yeah. Yeah, I think I do too as well.
I like freedom, yeah. But which one is the stronger message? I suppose.
We should just put a load of slashes in.
Yeah, just put, but you can't put slashes.
Liberation,
we're not allowed slashes. But yeah, we could have or pick a word basically. Like. You know, like when you have to fill in that thing and it's like you cross out whether you're the parent, whether you're the mother or the father or the guardian. Just have it like that. Just pick one. Just cross out the others, and you just I don't think that would work.
Okay, now here's a problem, a thing that I didn't expect to see in relation to Leslie Cross.
Loads of kids suffer from constipation. Okay. Is that one of the essays that I haven't yet narrated? I mean,
that's the title of it, yeah.
Sounds like it might be full of shit.
Yeah. Cure childhood constipation with Plamil.
Yeah. Otherwise, so are we going with liberation? Yeah.
Well, I have done so far, but
freedom is good, but I think liberation is a it's a more nuanced term for us again, isn't it?
It almost seems better than animal rights in that context too, for some reason. But, animals present man. Okay, so humans, humanity.
Animals present man with the supreme test. So yeah, animals present humanity with the supreme.
But then would that be, instead of his, would that be its then, or their?
I think it would be its, wouldn't it?
Could be there, couldn't it?
Present man with the supreme test of be its worthiness and ability to advance. The test
could be there as in THEIR, right?
Test of hang on. Animals present. You've got to think of the tense here. Animals present man with the supreme test of their worthiness or its worthiness. I suppose it depends. The test of how they behave towards those over whom they possess power. If so, there, yeah.
Well, then instead of humanity, that could be humans. Then that would be a they, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So animals present humans with the supreme test. So which would it go for their worthiness and then they?
Let me put it in just to see what it looks like.
Yeah, we'll test it.
You're probably going to have to do 5 different versions of this.
Yeah. Well,
we've
done 2 hours 12 minutes so far. So
I know, yeah. Well,
so
what about that here?
Yeah, I was gonna say what we may do after this is if we make this link available, and I'll put the link in this chat afterwards, so people can have a read of it afterwards in their own time as well.
No, just get everybody who can edit it, and then it'd be interesting to see what comes out.
It would be actually. I don't know. I think you can actually do that. I think it's anyone with a link potentially it's doable. So yeah, that's definitely something we could do, and just leave a copy up and see what happens.
Yeah. Now, what about this? I put our instead of their.
Worthiness and ability to piss. Yeah, I mean, it still works. Our worthiness and the ability to advance, the test of how would that be
here?
How we behave?
Yeah.
toward those over whom we possess power.
What do people think of the we language here, people? Is it good? So we've got behave. So what do I do? Do a strike through on the S?
Yeah, I guess so. Toward those over
Toward
whom
those
we,
over whom
and then it'd be a strike through on the
we
S of possesses as well. Yeah. Should I split this one up or just do it?
Yeah, one word at a time, please.
Yeah, if I go down to baby from baby calf, and then I'll split it up. Otherwise, it's quite long. Is there anything else to read among the problems on?
You read it to yourself.
I was just reading the comments just to see if we'd missed anything.
Oh,
It is sad but true that in the face of this test, more often than not, he seeks his own ends at the cost of suffering to the animals. He hunts, slaughters, vivisects, and enslaves them. To obtain their milk, he inflicts upon them some of the least worthy of all his exploitations, the deliberate and forcible separation of mother cow from baby calf.
sounds like he got a lot of H's given to him for his birthday.
Yeah, and then literally there's more in the second half as well. That's why I thought. Yeah.
In face of this test, more often than not, we seek our own. We seek our own.
We seek our own ends at the cost of suffering. Yeah, that would work. That would work. And then the sentence ends.
Well, in fact, we'd actually make it shorter rather than adding.
Yeah, and then I suppose it'd be we seek our own ends at the cost of suffering to the animals. We hunt, slaughter, vivisect, and enslave them. That would work too. We instead of he.
We seek. Oh, so it had to be seek, not seeks. Yeah, and not we seek. Without that. Holy moly, Friscoli. We more than that, we seek our. Oh, hang on a minute. We seek. No, this doesn't work now. We've got to have our, haven't we? Not.
Hang on. Our more own. Often than not, we seek. Yeah, our own end at the cost.
Yeah, so it's not the animals, not strike through after all, then, is it?
And then yeah, that's right. We seek our own ends. Yeah.
Oh God, I got that. Hang on now. I'm getting tired now, folks.
We're not too far away. Wow, I say that
from Nirvana. From what?
From the last page.
A mental breakdown. No, we seek our own ends at the cost of
suffering to the animals.
To
other animals.
Yeah. See, our fellow animals there would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I'm really kind of it also keep Jeremy off our backs too, which is probably very important.
We've basically got more or less a whole page to go if you include the half of the last one.
Do you think we ought to do a part 2?
Wow. I mean, this is what I was going to say to you. Right, if you're feeling tired, I don't want to rush through it. And obviously, we've still got, judging on the fact that we've done 2.25 pages in 2 hours 18 minutes. I reckon there's a good chance that the last 1 and a bit page might take us another hour.
Yeah.
So it's totally. I mean, I'm not doing anything, but it's a long time for everybody to sit through.
You know, and what I bet that bleeder wrote it in about 30 minutes when he first wrote it.
I mean, I can narrate it in about 15, less than that, like 7 minutes or whatever. So yeah, like, but there's a lot to unpack, and obviously we're taking in others, but I mean, maybe it might be an idea if we do say end it here, say, and upload it, and then people have got a perfect opportunity to have a look at it and come back, say, next Friday and finish it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm more than happy to do the story afterwards as well. So even if we finish this and it was quite a short show, there's nothing stopping us doing the first paragraph of that one.
Oh no.
So yeah. I'm more than happy to do it that way. I mean, like I said,
yeah, but you already said it. We've got an hour anyway, so
yeah. Wow. Well, I can't. I mean, looking at how long this so far has took us, and there's quite a lot of it's. We've still got the whole dairy process to go through, so there's quite a lot of changes there. So yeah, I would guess on that kind of thing.
Ooh, this is interesting. What's this then, Elliot? That's why I don't like the term.
I don't like the term. Oh,
animal liberation. Liberation is personal. Why? That's a quote, is it? Is that a quote, Elliot? Maybe we need to go back instead of just.
I haven't read all these, but I can sort of totally understand that to some degree. What they're saying, you know, like you can feel liberated. I mean, I feel liberated now with lots of things in terms of my mental health, how I used to be, and all sorts of stuff. But so I can understand that to some degree. But
yeah, but what's going on here? I believe liberation to be a particularly human. What isn't a human concept?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, and what else would you call it then? I mean, what would you refer to?
I mean, rights is a human concept, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all words are. Unless you're speaking in barks and meows, then you know they are human concepts. All words is all language.
If we carry on, I will be. I think.
Yeah, everything is in that regard, of course.
Well, yeah. Well, it's amazing that people have stayed with us.
No, yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you've been with us nearly 2.5 hours, so
you've only got a life or what? Only got anything proper to do?
No. Basically, no.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a end thing. I was going to do an end thing, and then I didn't get round to it. So
that's okay. Yeah. Hang on. Before we go off, whilst Joanna is here and she can approve it, let me copy and paste. So this is the link to the current Google document that I've just tried to put in the chat. Hopefully that will show up because I put it from the YouTube link as opposed from my personal one. Hopefully you can all see that.
Yeah, but they're going to have to cut and copy.
Yeah, they will because you can't click it. But at least I mean, I'll put it in as soon as this video is up. I'll chuck it in the comment section as well. But the problem with the comment section is half the time they don't show links. They're filtered. So it's
normally if it's the person whose channel it is, they usually do, don't they?
Oh, okay, so if you put it on your video and I put it on my video, they should work.
Assuming so.
Okay, because otherwise it's the only way that everyone who's potentially watching this can find the document then, or anyone that watches this later on in the week can potentially click on it and have a look, or even make their own changes.
Right. Okay. So are we done or?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how many people are left with us, but thank you everyone for your time.
Oh, we've got 18. We've got 5 on social media. Well, actually, that must be all on my 5 on my YouTube.
Oh, that's good.
On my Facebook. It's interesting. And 13 split between us. Before you go, did everybody do this bit for us? That would be very helpful if you did, especially.
Yeah, I expect to see at least 18 likes then already.
Yeah, especially for Andy, I would think, because. I've got 18 likes on mine, so you've got nobody on your channel, I'm afraid, Andy.
I don't mind about that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not here to be popular. I think I've made that quite clear.
No, who is? Who is? So, okay. Well, look, we're just going to waffle on if we're not careful. So,
let's just say thank you so much for joining us. What are we going to just go for the same time next Friday? Yeah, continuation.
Yeah, weren't we talking about a Ronnie thing?
Yeah, we'll have to do the Ronnie one on Wednesday. if we do this for Friday. Or I mean, I'm happy to change this to another day, but I suppose for consistency, if it works, I don't mind. It suits me fine. We just have to let people know when we're going to do part 2.
Yeah, no, I get that sneeze in the end. Okay, right at the end. Okay, people, we shall see you next Friday then.
Yeah. We'll just go for next Friday. Brilliant.
Okay, we'll have to start earlier in the day so we can.
Yeah, maybe we should start at 7 so we've got enough time to fit it all in. Maybe that's an idea. Start an hour earlier.
Okay. Right. Okay, people. Thanks very much.
Thank you.